All right. In today's tip, it is a Linux tip, and we will try to understand what is the SSH host fingerprint and the public key. We're gonna understand this using this example. Okay. Probably many of us in real world, you might encounter this issue. When you SSH share to a remote host, you get a warning message called this warning message. Yeah, I believe many users may encounter it, at least from my career, conducted many times and many years ago. However, I didn't spend time to understand what is behind it. So until recently, there's a pretty big happens for the internet users. Let me bring the web browser. One of them it's GitHub. So when the many GitHub user encountered this warning, says a remote host identification has changed. Okay, it's kind of scary when the first time people encountered this because we have no clue, especially for people relatively new to the Linux world. And so let me simulate this so you can see what is this whole message look like. Okay, so I'm on the server. This is my client server. I'm gonna remote to a server called R6, R9. See, this is my remote server. So when I initiate this SSH shell, then I get this is the whole text of warning message. It's basically saying this is the first warning, and also if you read this kind of scary. Like see, it's possible someone is doing something nasty, and it's maybe something to do man in the middle attack. So it's very scary. But in the most of the situation, if you continue to read, you might find it is just the you see, it is the key. Mainly, this message seeing everything says remote host identification has changed. What does it mean, remote host identification? Okay. And then they also give the please contact your system administrator and make a correction to your .ssh this known host. Okay, so and so on and so forth. So this is the message. So this is typically when people first time count it, it's kind of just scary and have no idea. Okay, so let me use a diagram to explain what is exactly typically situation is. Okay. So that message is saying basically the host identification is changed. What is host identification? And AKA, it is also called fingerprint. So basically, through this diagram, I just try to see what is causing this message. So in the Linux world, for example, this is the client. In our case, it's a Red Hat 9 client server. So you have SSD service running, and in this location, there's a public key. It is generated on the client side. When user connect from a client side, and the first time client, they're gonna fetch this public key into user's home.ssh and basically saying, all right, I'm trust this server and insert this server client primary key, public key into this file called non-host file. Okay, so The warning message happens when on the server side, this public key is different from the client side, the public key saved in this file. Then you get this message. And of course, there's some other situation, maybe like, for example, if we are not going to go to that route, because if really there's someone in the middle and they interrupt this connection, so you may also get. But we are not talking about that situation. We just try to explain the concept. Most of the situation is going to be, for example, your server, the SSD was removed, SSH, OpenSSH being reinstalled, then you might get the public key is changed when the user connect get this message. Also, for example, if your server get a rebuild, for example, some problem, your server have to rebuild, reinstall the OS, those kind of things, you also get this message. Okay, so that is basically seeing this. But how to fix this? In order to fix this, you basically we just follow this tip. First, the server you try connect, it is you trust it. Okay, so in my case, so to fix it, we can just follow this one. So you're basically gonna remove the entry containing the information on the remote server. Okay, there's two ways to do that. So basically, so the solution is going to remove the host or server engine from this file. Okay, so basically we're going to remove on the user, on the client side, we're going to remove this from this file. Okay, you can manually add it, and then so this is the user home, whatever user you use, and from the host engine, from that, so you did do the cleanup manually. So you can use whatever editor engines. Okay, so this is used through like manual editing, VI or whatever, nano. So another method is the same thing, and you use the SSH key scan. So use this. This is on a Linux command, scan -R, then followed by the host name, the remote host name. Okay. So let's do that. Okay. Let's go to this user. Okay. So this is the client. So if I cd the client's .sh script, here you see, right? So we have the host name, and inside host name, let's take a look at the content of the host name. Hosts, no hosts. Okay. So in my case, I only have one server for demo purpose. You see, this is the one, and the host name, and the type. So you see, this is the ED2519. This is RSA. This another one of the ECDSA. Okay, so they have a 3 for the like type, and followed by the key. Okay, you can see it here. It is, right. So this is the public key. This key, it is called host public key. It's different, from the user public key. Typically, we establish the like key access. Okay, if I'm going to go back to this diagram, for user, if you try to do like a passwordless key access, you basically push your user public key save in this on the server side to authorize the keys. Okay, authorize the keys. So this is different. So there's a two public key involved in the SSH word. One, it is the host public key, or server public key that is saved on the user's client side, the non-host file. If you want to use like a key access for the user without using password, then you have to generate a user public key and saved in on the server side authorized key. Okay, so that is the concept I just to clarify. Okay, so according to the message, so we basically need to just clean up. Okay, so this is so I'm going to edit this file. I find whatever engine contains this remote host and save it. So this is one way. So I'm gonna quit this without change. So I'm gonna use another method. It's called SSH key. Okay, I'm gonna use this key scan. Use minus capital R. R is means remove the engine containing the server. So I'm going to just use this command. Before I hit enter, let's do help this SS key scan. Okay, use this command, key scan. And you can see this is the key scan, and it is useful too. But here I'm going to just look at the capital R. I can't find it. Give me one more time. Where's the capital R? V, or maybe not to the key scan. And so keygen. Let's see. It's keygen probably. Let me see. Oh yeah, you see, it's my mistake. So it should be SS keygen, capital R minus capital R, and followed by the host name and the non-host file. By default is non-host. Okay, so let's use that one. All right, so we're going to do that. So let's do SSH key gen capital R and the remote host name. So we're going to do this. Okay, so it's very clear. They said the original contact was saved to this one, so this one is updated. Let's take a look at the non-host. Now you see it's clean, and so this one is the saved. Just it's basically remove this, rename this one to this one, and remove the engine. So now it is square one. So now if we do the SSH again, right? So let's see, do the SSH to the remote host. What do we got? So we will get that fingerprint information. The fingerprint is basically the public key, the host public key, okay? You see, it says cannot establish, but this is the fingerprint, okay, on the remote host. So what is fingerprint? Fingerprint is basically similar to, let's go to a Google. So if you do a Google search, let's see, it's a fingerprint is basically remote host key. It's based on the remote server public key. It's just a different name, okay? And so for the first time, you have to accept, because you have to decide you trust that remote host, okay? So basically, you're going to see yes, right? So let's let me do a Control C, okay? So here it is. So once you accept, if look at the no host, you see they already put this engine. In my case, they use the ED25519. So this is the public key on the remote side, okay? And let's continue. So if I continue with this one, let me just enter the password. You can see, so I'm in the remote host. Let me exit again. Let's see the no host. So in the no host, back to square one, the after the client communicate with server, they pull the public key from remote host for this type and this type and this type, okay? and on the server side. The third column is basically the public key. How do I know that? Well, I'll show you shortly, okay? So this is the RSA key, this is ECDSA key. So this is three kind of key provided on the host. If I go back to the diagram, I see, so those public key is saved on the server. In my case, I'm using the Red Hat, so it is in the, I think for other distribution, it's also in this etc SSH, they have public key, okay? So in the black window, I'm logging as a root. It is, let's cd to etc SSH, okay? So on Red Hat, let's take a look. You see, those key was generated on the server side. In my case, it also has DSA key, but that's fine. So let's take a peek of this public key, okay? So this is host public key. Okay, this is different from the what the concept for the user public key. Okay, let's take a look. So we're going to look at the server side, the public key. Okay. All right. If you compare the server side public key and the public key was fetched to the client side, you can see it is identical, right? So this basically, it just established first time it says, I'm gonna pull the public key from the server side and store on the client side. So in the future, these two key match. So I can confident establish SSH communication. Okay, so this is purely for the safe, and also, we can also take a look at the RSA key. That is kind of rather old one. So you can see it is, this is the RSA key. It should also match on the client side. You see, this is the RSA key, right? On the client saved in the known host. Similar for another one, it is the ECDSA key, okay? So let's see the ECDSA key. ECDSA key, public key. Okay. So this is the public key. So basically, after you establish the, for the first time you establish the communication with the server. So this information being pulled from server and stored on the client. So that is purely on the server to server. Okay, it's not like the one you see in my case, in my user, I only have the known host. If I need to connect to a remote using key access on client side, I need to generate a user key, like key pair, private and public, and then like push onto the server side. So in this way, I don't have to. So that is another thing. I'm just quickly using this diagram to distinguish these two things. So on the server level, so we basically pull the server public key and saved into user known hosts. If we want to use key access to the server, then we will need to generate user public keys and private key and put into the remote authorize the keys for this user .ssh, this user home. So that is, I use different color to distinguish this. Okay. All right. So I think that's just through this video, hopefully can give a clear picture about about two things. One thing is what is the host public key, okay? And also how to resolve this kind of issue and give a clear understanding of the SSH communication between server, client, server, and also about compare with the host, like the how the user key different from the host public key. Okay, so before end, let's do a quick test about regarding the user things. Okay, so we already know in the no host it contains the host public key. So now let's do a quick. So if we do a SSK let's see SSK we can see the similar concept. Okay, this is kg minus t. So let me use the this type. Okay, so I'm going to use this one. So this is the first time. You see, for the client, I can also generate a public key. So in this case, I generate a public keys like this. If I put this public key to the server side, and then I can access the remote server without using the password. Okay, so that is very common. So people already know this. I just distinguish. So what is the user public key? It is in this .ssh on the user home directory, and on the client side, the on the server side, the host public key is going to be in the @c SSH that is actually generated by the system, and for the computer level SSH communication. All right, so that's for today's video.